The president's huge blunder, in my view, is going overseas and criticizing folks here at home who have raised genuine concerns about the safety and security of America under this policy. For me, I'll be quite clear. When the FBI director stands up and says that he cannot assure the American people that Syrian refugees can be effectively vetted, that ends the conversation for the moment. We cannot allow ourselves at a time of great peril to put ourselves voluntarily at even greater risk just because there are some folks who believe that it'll make our country look better here around the world. I have a large Muslim American population in my state. I think it's the second largest Muslim American population of any state in the nation, behind Michigan. And what I'll tell you is that Muslim Americans are not nearly that sensitive, not nearly as sensitive as some of the people in opinion places here in Washington or in the White House believe they are. They're Muslim Americans, and they understand that the safety and security of their family is at risk, just the way the safety and security of Catholics are at risk, Protestants are at risk, Buddhists are at risk when the American homeland's not safe and not secure. This is common sense. I know the FBI director. I worked with him as U.S. Attorney in New Jersey when he was U.S. Attorney in Manhattan. That's what passes for foreign policy when you're a U.S. Attorney, dealing with the Southern District of New York. I knew him as my boss as the Deputy Attorney General, and I now know him as the FBI Director. He's one of the fairest, most competent, capable, and honest people I've ever known in public service. When he stands up and says that he cannot assure the American people, the president should be a leader that listens and listens to the professionals he's placed around him. When the FBI director says it's capable to vet folks, then we can revisit a policy that the American people could support. But instead, what the president decides to do, what he decides to do is to try to belittle those who have a differing opinion. It's not good enough just to disagree. You're smaller. You're lesser. That's not what a real leader does. A real leader attempts to persuade. A real leader attempts to cajole. A real leader attempts to bring people who have differing opinions in to find common ground. A real leader does not stand on foreign soil and belittle the leaders of states all across the country that he pretends to lead. I don't care any less about the widows and orphans of the Syrian war than the president does, not one bit less. But my focus is different than his is. My focus is on the widows and orphans in the United States. My focus is on the widows and orphans of September 11th. See, they live with me every day. They live around me every day in my state. It's 14 years later for everyone in this country, but for me, it is a daily occurrence to look into the eyes of the people who lost their husbands and wives, their fathers and mothers, their sisters and brothers, their sons and daughters on September 11th.